In section 1, we focused on audio channels and audio clips. In section 2, we took a look at the various effects and how we could maybe add those on to some of those audio clips that we had worked on from section 1. And now in section 3, we're going to talk about the last major component of Soundation, instrument tracks, and the instruments themselves. So what I've done thus far, I've started a new track, or as they call it here, a new song. I've saved it, I've changed my BPM, and I closed down the sample browser. We're not going to need the sample browser at all in this particular section, but what we will need is our virtual keyboard. So you'll notice the virtual keyboard right next to the sample browser. And what this will allow me to do is actually play the notes on the keyboard using my little typing pad here. So to add an instrument track, what we're going to do is head down to the bottom left, and instead of clicking on our old friend Add Audio Channel, we'll click on the one next to it that has a little musical notation icon there. And just like that, I've now added an instrument track. So notice that I can't go in here and rename this, and that's a little bit frustrating. So just be sure that you order everything appropriately and you're using those various color choices that we talked about with the audio clips and the audio channels. What I'll be referring to all of these devices as are instrument plugins. Okay, we talked about plugins with the effects. Same deal here. These actually pop out, and to open them up, we have to go in and select Edit Instrument. Then the plugin pops out like so, and we can make any changes we need to make. So inside of Soundation, we have three main types of instruments. And you're going to find these three types of instruments all over the place as you go and dig deeper into computer music. The first type we'll talk about are multi-sampled instruments that are looking to emulate, or in this case, kind of perfectly represent acoustic instruments that you'll find in the real world. I'll go to SAM1 here and notice that we can choose Select Instrument. So if I choose the acoustic piano here, what they've done is they've actually sampled out a real acoustic piano at various pitches on the keyboard. And for that reason, we're actually able to play this like a real keyboard. So when I hit my A key, I'm actually playing a C, and you can notice that when I click that, a little C4 icon pops up here. We can change the octave, etc. All right, so that's the first type of instrument that we have in Soundation. The second type of instrument is drum machines, and so these are sample-based playback, but they're really meant to play one-shot samples. They're not necessarily meant to go up and down the keyboard. And so the idea behind these drum machines is, again, if I have my typing keyboard out, I select this track, and I go to octave 3. I can play back my drum samples like so. And the third type of instrument that we have access to inside of Soundation are what I like to refer to as the synthesizers, specifically the subtractive synthesizers. So an example of that would be the simple. And the simple is actually using these little virtual oscillators to generate the main tone. So if we go ahead, open up our keyboard once again, we can hear that like so. And with this last category of instruments, we have a lot more control over the sound, but it's going to sound synthetic. It's not going to sound like a perfect representation of an acoustic piano or anything like that. So in this section, we'll be looking at all of these instruments in greater depth and building up another new loop.